Chad Colby's look at agriculture technology comes your way next, brought to you by the IBM Watson Decision Platform, combining AI with Internet of Things data to help agribusiness increase yields, improve quality, and drive sustainability.
So you're in a rural area. You don't have to worry about internet safety, do you? There's nobody coming after you out on your farm?
Maybe not the case, Max Armstrong.
Chad Colby has some rules to stay safe on the internet. Here's his report this weekend.
If you followed our tech segments over the years, we're quick to talk about the latest phone, the latest tablet, or even computer system. But on this week's tech segment, we're going to talk about a very serious topic that, quite honestly, we haven't talked about here on the show. And that is the security that you should have on these devices to keep your data and your information protected from the bad guys, if you would. So I'm going to offer you my top 10 suggestions on things you can do to make your equipment more secure. The first is make sure all your equipment has the current software on it. Often, these manufacturers have enhancements to the devices. Make sure they're current and make sure your apps are always current, especially those apps that have to do with your credit cards, your bank accounts, those type of things. Never save any of your login information or payment information on the phone. And what I mean by that is you don't have a Word document on your computer with all your passwords on it. You want to save that somewhere else secure. Make sure, and this is a must, I see a lot of people that do not do this. All of these devices should have a password on them to even access the device itself. I know that can be a little difficult in some of the environments that we work in, but a password there is huge, especially if you think about it. If you might leave one of these devices behind, you don't want somebody to have access to all your information. Be sure to use a strong password. A lot of people today are suggesting using passwords that are the first letter of a phrase. And when available, always use two-step verification. If you get asked to do that, click yes and go through that process. If you're not familiar with two-step verification, you might log into an app or a website and they would need to text you a code. You put the code in to verify that it's you. Make sure you download applications from a secure source. Always still consider using antivirus software. I use it on my equipment, regardless whether that's Mac or Windows. Again, it just adds another layer of protection. Always back up your data. You can see here on my desk, I've got some external hard drives that I use. I also utilize the cloud as well. If you haven't done that, the costs on that are relatively low now compared to just a few years ago. These last few are some really good suggestions. One of them I'd never even considered. I want to thank my nephew Colin, who just graduated from cybersecurity. He actually got a degree in cybersecurity, and he's got a really big one. I'll save for the last one. But a couple that really got my attention is never use public Wi-Fi. I don't use that myself. I really never have. And the reason why is there's very little security on public Wi-Fi. The other one is, and I always did it just because of battery life, but be sure to turn off your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi if you're not using it. Again, it's just closing that door for someone who might want to do mischief on your account. And the big thing on the end is this, number 10. If you make payments for anything, or you log into your credit card, you log into Amazon, or any place that you're exchanging money, be sure to log out of that app and log out of that website. And that's something I really never considered in the past, but that was one thing that Colin's suggestion. You want to close that door to make sure there's nobody watching that can run in after you and do some mischief. Again, these are just some great suggestions, things that we kind of take for granted with this technology. I'm sure there's more than that, but do your homework and have a plan to keep your devices as secure as possible. For This Week in Agribusiness, I'm Chad Colby.
So, down over that list, on which one of those are you a violator? Where are you putting yourself in jeopardy? You know, I'm on public Wi-Fi sometimes. Well, at least on airplanes. That's probably the only place, but I shouldn't do that, Chad would say.
No, you shouldn't. It's tough when you're traveling. You know, I realize I'm guilty of leaving myself logged into websites. I do that constantly.
Oh.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't have just mentioned that on television.
Where's your laptop now?
Well, folks, stick around. We will have more This Week in Agribusiness coming up. Farm Progress, only about a month away.